Hey guys, welcome to the Tetra Health and Performance Podcast. Today we're talking winter. Winter is coming. It's getting colder. It's getting harder to get out of bed. The bed is warmer and sometimes can be a little bit demotivating to get out there and start moving the body and stay to your routine.
Yeah, and I think a really important thing to for people to bear in mind is like getting to the gym and training and having a kind of schedule of training is not inherently natural. Like we weren't designed as human beings to get all our exercise done in that kind of like 1 hour block in the day, or like an hour and a half or 45 minutes, or that kind of quick hit training session. We were pretty more designed for exercise to be a very important part of our survival. Short term, right? Like, so if you didn't eat, you didn't get to a water source, you didn't evade predators, then you would die. And then to this day, we do not have these threats that happen. If we get weaker and weaker, we won't end up at the back of our pack, and we won't let our pack down. Like, so we can allow ourselves, like we have more reason to allow ourselves not to train. So we have more thoughts that can creep into our head and be like, no, you don't need to train. You can do that tomorrow. But the idea is exercise is not inherently natural, but it's something we really, really should do. And however you get that exercise, whether it is like you're more intermittent, like throughout the day, little bits of exercise, more steps, strength training, which we know is extremely beneficial, and we won't get that without like really like going to the gym or doing some bodyweight exercise. So it's really important to kind of like force yourself, and we talk about this a lot, but you're kind of like your delayed gratification, understanding that, hey, well, this will put the extra 10 years on my life, and if it doesn't put an extra 10 years of life on me, it's going to give me an extra good few years of quality, right? So it might not actually make me live longer, but it's going to give me a better quality in the end of my days.
And this being a time where like it can be a bit rough on the mental health, like being a bit colder, being a bit darker at night, maybe not having such warm, sunny days, and like training is going to be such a beautiful release for that mental health and a balance. And in the short term, you're like, I don't want to, it's hard, it's tricky. But that's that delayed gratification, man. Tackling something that is hard and you don't want to do because you know it's going to be better for you in the long term. And that long term can be just an hour and a half, 2 hours away when that session's complete and you're like, oh, that feels a bit better. I feel a bit more balanced. Or it might be a compounded effect after a couple of weeks where you're like, hell yeah, I'm so happy I did that. That helped keep my mental health in check. I'm feeling a bit calmer, more relaxed at the moment. You know what's pretty cool with all that as well? All those physical results that come. It's a great time where we consume probably a bit more calories. So moving the body with some real intent and purpose, a great way to kind of keep yourself in check over these next couple of weeks and months.
Yeah, and good words, keep yourself in check, right? Being mindful of your actions, like understanding, are my actions pushing me into the best possible position in my life? And I think the idea of forced hardships is really, really important. And it's like lots of people think that trainers like training all the time, right? I love training. I definitely go in and out of my passion for training, but I've built up habits that allow me to train no matter what, right? And maybe I'm not like pushing myself forward all the time, but I'm training and maintaining. And I'll probably never let that go for the rest of my life, because I've forced myself when I haven't wanted to train. I've been like, oh, okay, well, don't miss this session. You don't know when the next session you're going to be able to get in is. And I think that's so important. I think when you do have time and you have a schedule and you've put it in your schedule to train, right, force yourself through that hardship. Like, yeah, you might lie on the sofa and it'll be uncomfortable, but then just think, like, how much is lying on the sofa watching TV really, really helping me in any way in my life? It's just comfort. And like, the idea is like to stop having too many creature comforts. I think we're all so comfortable all the time. We have comforts everywhere. We have Uber Eats. We don't have to actually get out of bed if we don't want to. Right? I think it's so important to force yourself to be like, well, this is not how humans are supposed to behave. Things are not supposed to be comfortable. And while I might be that person who likes being comfortable, like everyone does, if I force myself for a few more hardships, I make myself do the things that people don't want to do, especially in the hardest times like the winter when people don't want to train, and I make myself train. You become a better version of yourself. But I also think it's kind of fun understanding that you also become a better person on average, right? Number one, you're picking up the average of the human being, but number two, you're better than that person that doesn't do that. And I do like the idea of any time I have a hard task in front of me, I kind of remind myself that this is what makes you succeed in life. Like, you've got a task in front of you. Lots of people just would not do this task, right? If I just get my mind around and I do it now, I'm being better than other people, and I'm more likely to succeed.
shit compounds, man. Doing that again and again. Like, what is it, like, man, we've got 3 months of winter plus like a month cold afterwards and a month cold beforehand. You got about 5 months here that could be left on the table. Those 5 months are going, you know what? I can do this. I'm going to do this. This is who I am. I enjoy this uncomfortable nature. I want to be a better version of myself. That's 5 months out of the 12 months that now you're now moving your body and progressing yourself to the direction you want to go. That's a lot to forego. And you go, it's a bit cold. I'm not going to train. 5 months is a lot to give up.
Oh, yeah, it's half your year, right? And at the end of the day, like, really, Australia's not cold. I'm from England, and that's not even that cold compared to some countries, and people manage to train. Like, honestly, I can think of times when I've gone into a gym, my knees are cold, my ankles are cold, but I'm younger, like, so I'm in my mid-20s kind of thing, so I'm ready to go. But, like, even though I do not have achy joints, I'm like, things feel stiff and tight, and then you get into the squat rack is made of metal, you touch the squat rack, like, fuck, that's freezing. Yeah. And then you go to the bar, you put your hands on the bar, and like, you're doing a back squat, and you feel that bar on the back of the neck, and you're like, this is freezing cold. This is actually, everything is really uncomfortable. And I don't think I've ever experienced that uncomfortableness in Australia. It's never actually that cold, right? Yeah. What's the coldest it gets over here, like 12 degrees?
Yeah, we're pushing that, maybe a touch a bit below.
Yeah, midday it doesn't get below 10.
My favourite is a similar. I have a really fond memory of being in Afghanistan, and we're on a base called Tarankot. And like, my favourite sessions were going really early morning when the snow was still coming down in winter, and it'd be myself and one or two of the other guys going training. The gym would be dead, and it would be just us. It was like a big garage door, so you can see the snow kind of falling out on the outside. It's like, this is the best. It's cold as fuck. It's snowing. There's no one here. The gym is our playland. This is the best. And like, I'm so happy we took that opportunity to go there together, because it forged our friendships a little bit as well and made us get along with a couple of blokes. And we were just doing the hard work while other people were resting. And like you said earlier, I got off on that. Like, this is fantastic. We're one of those people that are working hard and driving to what we want to do while other people are resting, taking that comfort option. I tell you what, man, that shit is noted by, when we're in the army, the higher ups and those people that were like being a little bit fitter, looking after themselves. Those guys got more opportunities and got a few more things presented to them going forward for taking that harder route. Yeah, and
I feel like you say forged friendships, and I think like no friendships are really ever forged as well as when you have done something like through forced hardships. It's like forged friendships through forced hardships. It's kind of like, that's when you kind of like, you feel like you create a bond between people, like being stuck in situations that aren't comfortable, or like doing the things that are tough, like having someone that you can rely on, like being like, hey, are we going to go to the gym? And then they say, yeah, let's go to the gym, let's hit the gym early. And then that person actually being there and being ready to go in an early time when not many people want to. And you're both kind of bonding over the fact that we're both hardcore, right? You know, we're not soft. Like we are hard.
Straight up accountability, right?
Yeah, 100%. When times are tough, right? Proving to someone that I can train with you, like when things aren't going to be the best possible situation, you're not going to let a friend down.
And like, honestly, if you don't have someone that you connect with like that, you can just go to your coach, like, hey, I want you to keep me accountable. Get up me. It may be more of a carrot approach. It might be more of a stick approach. Whatever works best for you, you can just like approach the coach. Hey, I really want to try and stay accountable for 3. Please get up me. Keep me accountable. I would appreciate that. 100%, man. Happy to do that.
Off that, I kind of just want to like talk a little bit about like the idea of setting goals and motivation and what happens in between that, and kind of like a few things that we've just touched on. But the first thing is like, it's always important to understand your why. And most of the time, like, I don't really care what your why is that much, as long as you understand it yourself and it's intrinsic. Like, it's based off what you really want. It's not based off what someone else wants for you, or based off something that really you might be told by social media it matters to you, but it actually doesn't. But you kind of like slowly believe that it does matter to you. That's not something that's intrinsic. You need to like sometimes just ask yourself why a few times and be like, why does training matter to me? And you know, it doesn't always have to be the deepest thing in the world. It can actually be that I just want to feel good in my body and I want to look sexy. Like that I don't think that's a problem. I think that's actually a very truthful thing. It can be more superficial. It doesn't always have to be that I want to live longer and be able to play with my kids better and stuff like that, which we all kind of admire. It's fantastic, but it doesn't always have to be that deep, right? And then when we've kind of set them goals, the second you've set it, and I think it's always important to put it down on paper, like actually you should write it down somewhere, especially somewhere that at first you can see it often, to remind yourself of the goal. And sometimes just reminding yourself that a goal might allow you to look into it a little bit deeper, or might allow you to make some adjustments to it so it's more specific to you, right? And then once we got that goal, like it allows us to set a journey, right? It allows us to begin on a path that is down the right tracks. Yeah. And with that coming down, as you know, that, okay, well, I'm going to set a nice, easy, achievable goal. I'm going to try and get to the gym 3-4 times a week. And when I'm there, I'm going to work hard. Yeah. And then, well, there's going to be times where, like we're just discussing, you're going to be sitting on the sofa being, actually, I don't want to go. Well, I think what's really important and people don't discuss enough is like, this is not where motivation comes in at all. This is how your self-talk comes in. Because you're going to be sitting on that sofa and you're going to know what's good for you. And you're going to say to yourself, okay, I should get to the gym. And then you're going to go, I'm comfy. Oh, I'm warm. Oh, the gym's, I have to go outside. That's cold. It's tough. I have to move from where I am right now. And then you remind yourself quickly of, actually, I'm on this journey. I need like that better self-talk. I need to bring back that guy. It's like, you're supposed to get there. Number one, you said you were going to go to the gym. Yeah. Number two, you've set yourself a goal that won't happen. And if I tell myself, I'll go tomorrow, well, that's a lie. Like if you say to yourself, I'll go tomorrow, nearly all the time that's a lie. And then tomorrow never comes, right? So I think what I love the idea is mantras or affirmations. And the idea of a mantra can be something in your head, and it sounds silly, but it can be it can be something really positive where you say in your head, like you can run through your goals. You can be, okay, well, so I want to get big, I want to get jacked, and the only way to do that is to get into the gym, right? And it can be just something like that, and like just saying that to yourself a couple of times, you'll probably be like, okay, well, actually, that is the only way. Like I've got to go to the gym. It's not going to happen without that. People tend to believe it will happen without that, or things can happen in the future. Then from there, I think comes down to like your discipline. So I think discipline is the ability to have self-talk a lot, right? To be able to push through and be continuous and, like Mitch said, accountable to your actions, and just make sure that you're doing it enough until it becomes a secondary habit. And I think with discipline, a good tool to discipline is kind of mindfulness. And I think often it's like, why am I making this decision? Like this is not helping me persevere on my journey. This is actually pushing me off course. So, and then sometimes you might decide, well, this is a one-off treat. I really deserve it. I might just go down this path this one time. But as long as you've had that conscious talk about it with yourself, then you kind of understand why you're making these decisions. And then you can, over time, you can actually start being like, oh, I made this decision last week and I allowed myself this one, but maybe I won't. And actually, the studies that go into this, they actually say that 46% of the time you are you're not in the moment, right? So, and we also know that 40% of the time we are normally habitual based. So if you put these two numbers together, we're pretty much saying that most people run off habits, right? Nearly all the time. And when you run on habits, you're not living in the moment. And what you got to do is you got to zone in, you got to get back into the moment and be like, wait, does this serve me the way I want it to serve me? And if it doesn't, well, I'm not going to do that. And then self-talk, I'm going to run through my mantras a couple of times. Oh, actually, you know what? I'm going to get it done. Even if you have to run through the mantras all the way to the gym. Hour drive to the gym, mantras in the background. Yeah. And then the last one is kind of motivation, because this is such a word that we hear all the time and it really means so little. But motivation, I think of motivation as kind of the act of hormones in your body from the sense of training, which is going to be like your serotonin, your dopamine, your kind of like your what's the other one?
Serotonin, dopamine, and I can't remember. Anyway, moving on.
Yeah. So anyway, serotonin, dopamine. I know the other one's like psilocybin, but I cannot remember off the top of my head. Endorphins. Yeah. So you got so then you've got in your head, you've got these kind of things, and they build these positive reinforcements for you. But you can't always rely on your brain chemistry to be in the right place to get a session done. So what you've got to do is you've actually got to just be like, okay, again, self-talk. We know, right, that if I am sad, I can smile, right? And I can hold a smile until I'm happy. This is how mantras and affirmations work. They work by you convincing yourself that you're in a better motivation, a better mood, and you can bring on that motivation. But again, you've got to create that loop. So when it comes to self-talk, your brain doesn't just operate as in my brain tells my body, right? The body tells the brain as well, and they work together. So I can trick my brain by holding a smile and be like, okay, well, I'm actually release that serotonin, that dopamine in my brain to feel happier, improve motivation. But in this case, we're not just trying to feel happy, we're trying to feel motivated. So I'm going to run through my mantra, right? And if you need any help, discuss it with a coach, like what the mantra might sound to you, what an affirmation might sound to you. Sometimes it's journaling, right? Like gratitude journals that allow you to realize what keeps you going and what motivates you. You might write down like, remember, I'm doing this for my kids. And it could be something to the lines of, I'm doing this for my kids to set an example, right?
A lot of this stuff too, like always stems on who do you want to be as a person, man? Like who do you want to be? Do you want to be someone that's pretty fit, pretty healthy, looks after themselves? If that's part of you, man, you got to integrate that and have structure for your life, and that's your goal. Then that's your habits. So no one like getting that why. Who are you going to be? And that's that big picture thing, not just I want to lose 10 kilos, but like who do you want to be? What do your daily actions consist of? Because that's who you're going to be. Your daily actions are who you are and who you get shaped as a person.
And lots of people operate off what they want, right? And the way you should see it is it's not like, this is not going to get me there. Well, this is going to create the person that I want to be, that deserves and can get the thing that I want, right? So it's not so much like, say, you want to be with a certain woman, for example, and like you know that in your mind there's this perfect. So you're single, for example. There's this perfect woman in your mind of everything that you want her to be. Well, you might not be the person right now that deserves to be with that woman, right? So you have to be the person that deserves and can get that woman before you can get that woman. And that doesn't have to be obviously just women. It can be anything, right?
That's everything in life, right? You have to work on yourself to achieve what you want to achieve, whether it be business-wise, whether it be like personal fitness, like learning an instrument. You've got to put in the work. It's not just going to come to you because you want it.
Yeah.
That'd be nice.
Yeah, that would be nice. And then we'd all have everything we wanted, and that's just not the way it works, is it? And it's easy to set a goal, and it's hard to maintain and change your behaviors and have self-talk that allows you to achieve that goal. And like, nothing good comes quick, right? Like, I think we're in an industry, in a world where everyone thinks that they can get what they want with 2 months of hard work. Nah, right? And forget about it. Like a year minimum to really change your body and look really, really good, right? Like you can make these big changes early on, but like I think the changes that most people want don't come quick. And lifelong, change your body chemistry, change your brain chemistry, change your physiology. Like look muscly and big, and not just like skinny abs. It takes years. Takes years of training.
How many years you been training, man?
Oh, don't depress me, man. I'm like, so I've been, I don't know. I've been training forever. But you know, like, oh my God, 20 years, 22 years of training? No, 10. Yeah, no. How old am I? I'm 37. So yeah, 22 years. I went to the gym. First time I went to the gym was like 15 with my friends.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, 100%.
That'd be bad saying.
There will be inconsistency in there for periods, but I think most of the time I've actually been pretty consistent.
But I want that to paint a picture. And myself, like started 15, 16, first time went to the gym. You know what? I remember my dad bought me like a little weight set for the garage.
Yeah, I had that as well.
And then he showed me a routine he did, which was like,
that's the best.
Anyway, fantastic. But like, that's when it started. It became, I wouldn't say an obsession to start off with, but it became routine. It became something I wanted to do. And that's like 15 years of moving your body. Like, be consistently. That's a long time to kind of get into like, I don't know, relatively healthy, fit, muscly body. It takes a lot of time. And like as you said, there's ups and downs. Life happens, right? But you talk about short term and want it now, like, it takes a lot of years, man. Especially in those early years. It'd only be a couple of kilos of muscle per year. Start off as a very skinny frame dude and only put a couple of kilos after year after year after year, and then eventually the body just maintained. But that took a long time to get to.
Yeah, and there's a lot of there's a lot of things you just don't know then as well. Like actually eating enough food, like or not eat or eating less when the goal determines it. I think off that, like it's a good time to kind of discuss quickly is that we've just kind of spoke about goals and like long-term training goals and stuff like that. But one of the most important things is it's called eye off the prize. So like rather than eye on the prize, we're actually trying to we set our goals and then we don't rely on the goal to motivate us anymore. We rely on them self-talks, that discipline and that kind of approach to be like, okay, well, just keep doing the job, keep working. Oh, but I'm not getting results. No, forget that. If I keep doing it, I have to trust in the process and I will get results through the trust in the process. And also, like we tend to also believe that reaching your goals doesn't have many failures. Well, actually, anyone who actually reaches any goal that is worth considering a good goal is gonna fail multiple times along the way. And failures can look like injuries. They can look like a week off. They can look like a binge eating. Like they can look like a month off. They can look like 2 months off sometimes. But it doesn't really matter as long as you get back on the horse and you consider the journey.
And you learn from that failure. Why didn't that work?
Yes.
And then you're like, okay, maybe my timings weren't great here. I was overcommitted in this period. All right, let me restructure my week. Let's see if I got more success now. But, failures is where we learn, and having that moment to go, okay, break down, analyze, learn from it, rebuild, replan, that's huge stuff.
Rule 1, don't fail. Rule 2, when you do fail, like get back on it and learn from your failure. Because you don't want to fail. You want to fail as little as possible. But when you do fail, you need to make sure that you use that and you learn from that. I think one of the coolest things about having a coach is actually if the coach is smart, then you get to learn from their failures. And they get to educate you on what they've done wrong. And if you believe in them enough, you take that into account and you don't reenact them same failures.
If you do the quick maths of how long James and I have been training, it's a few years multiplied, and
many failures.
Yep, there's been a lot.
Yeah.
Well, just quick on that self-talk. I'm gonna say not everything has to be positive with that self-talk. Not everything has to be rainbows and flowers. Sometimes it can be sending rockets up here. And I respond personally to a bit of negative self-talk. I love going, let's go, you bag of shit. Let's go, you whatever. I love that. That gets me off, and it really kind of gets my engines running to get into sessions. And it's the positive stuff works with most people, but if you know you and know how you respond, those affirmations, self-talk are going to be tailored to you and your personality and whatever kind of you respond to.
Yeah. Oh, I would, I totally agree. But also at the same time, I think that you need to know yourself when it comes to that, because I think a lot of people already have enough negative talk in their minds. So there's someone that's going to I wouldn't push more negative on them. I try and find that kind of silver lining if they can of why they're training. But then there is going to be that few. I definitely think there's going to be that few that actually go and put a rocket up their ass, as Mitch said. I think that's a good way of expressing it. Is that they actually really motivate themselves by going, wait, don't be that piece of shit. Get up, I actually, to be honest, I do that to myself in maybe a nice light way. And
I also, this is I hope not an ego thing, but it's also an elitist thing. I love doing what other people aren't doing. If it's raining outside and the park is absolutely empty, I'm going for a run. It's a great time. I got to do sprints and kick the football. I don't care. I love it that no one else is doing it because I'll go do it. And I like that. I'm sucking, I'm hating this, but I'm still doing it.
Yeah.
It's fun.
100%.
Really get off on that.
Yeah, if you want to be successful and you want to be more successful than the average person, then you got to do what the average person won't do. Ooh. And luckily these days there's a lot of people that won't do a lot of stuff. So we're pretty good. I do truly believe that as we rely on averages, which I don't think we should, it's kind of becoming lower and lower the average of what you should be able to do, and kind of the average fitness of a human is dropping. And we can see that with also obesity levels and stuff like that rising. So really, I thought about it the other day, and I thought about our name as a gym and how we're called Benchmark. And the idea really was in my head was originally to think, okay, well, I want to bring people up to the benchmark of physical fitness. And then I thought, actually, no, the goal should be to bring the actual general populace's physical fitness up, bring the benchmark up. So it's not our original goal was hey, we got 120 members in here, but the podcast allows us to reach out a little bit further. And the podcast allows us to maybe inspire people outside of our bubble to actually then get out and train. So our ethos, our mentality is to actually just try and bring the average human, not bring the average human up, but bring the average up of the human being. Does that make sense?
100%. You know what too, man? Like we were just saying there, you put two together, calories are pretty easy to come by these days. The most abundant they've ever been. Creature comforts and the way life is designed is the most comfortable it's ever been. So easy access to calories, easiest way to stay comfortable and stay sedentary. You don't have to move or collect your food by yourself. You just sit at home and just click on your phone. Man, it's an uphill battle. You've really got to be not intrinsically motivated. You've got to be just aware. You've got to be aware that you need to put in the work, you need to structure things and have some discipline to achieve what you want to do. Yeah. Because this is a hard time in just our period as humans to really be active, healthy human beings. We have all the resources at our disposal, but it's a bit of an uphill game at the same time.
Yeah, and talk about resources. When you become an adult, or after the age of 27, your prefrontal cortex is fully developed, right? And I would say that's the perfect time to consider yourself an adult. And I think if most people above the age of 27, people actually around that age, I did kind of become a little bit more conscious of things and a bit more understand of my what I was actually doing. And I just wonder, sometimes I think it's I've heard this before, and I think it's so true. It's just be a bit of an adult. Have the discipline that adults have over children, where children do not have discipline, right? And sometimes it's just the case of that there's a bunch of chocolate in front of you, calm yourself down, right? Easter, it's Easter at the moment, and I think it's kind of why, you can stop yourself. It's, again, talk about hardships. Like, and what's the delayed gratification? When them chocolates are in front of you, resist, my friend.
I remember being like early 20s and being like, having the realization, I can buy cake whenever I want. No one's going to stop me. Yeah. What the shit?
There's no rules.
There's no boundaries. But yeah, 100%. I'm a sucker for a sweet tooth. But like, then you got to put things in place. Like, I just can't have it in the house. My wife's pretty good at this, just hiding it, put it out of sight, and the calorie consumption gets cut in half. Just quickly, I'm curious to your opinion, what gets you going too, James? Like at home, if I'm feeling pretty lazy, it's been a tough day with the kids, but yet I still haven't trained, my first go-to is chuck some music on. If I can chuck my earbuds in and listen to something that gets me going, 9.9 times out of 10, I'm going to train and I'm going to do what I need to do. Even if it's a shit session, doesn't matter, I move my body. Do you have something that kind of gets your wheels turning and gets you more in motion?
Yeah, like just saying gets me in motion 100%. Like, so I have kind of a little bit of a routine, and like Mitch says, like his music, right? But mine is just packing my bag. It's like I have a kind of a bag that I take to the gym, and like just grabbing my towel, putting it in the bag, grabbing my headphones, putting them in the bag, and like looking for where my trainers are and getting my clothes that I train for in the gym. Like all them things together. Like when I'm coming to the gym, all I have to do is start that process. It's like if I'm on the sofa and I just go, okay, well just put the towel in the bag, right? Once I've started that, it's done. Like I'm out the door. Yep. And sometimes something gets in the way. Things do. But
Exact same, man.
And I think so many people lack this, right? Like they lack that kind of like some kind of rhythm. Yeah, we have these quite often negatively, and I don't think enough people understand it enough to set it up positively. So you don't know it, but you have this kind of leading into your habits. It becomes a cycle. So that it's like it might be that you like a beer at the end of your day. So it could be that you walk through the gate into your house. You get to the door. You put the key in the door. You open up the door. Yeah, you walk to the fridge. These things are starting to happen. Like you're walking through the gate, walking through the front door. This becomes like your pattern or rhythm, right? And then you get to the fridge, you open up the fridge, you pull out a beer, you open up the beer, you drink the beer. Well, actually what happened from this, that you are going to fail that because you've set a rhythm up that second you walk through the gate, that happens. So sometimes it's just destroying that rhythm. And I mean like you could walk in the back door. Like that can actually make really effective changes. But when you can see it like that, and this kind of chunking that we do with habits, when you can see it that way, then you can also do it in the opposite effect. You can start setting up these positive chunks towards your positive goals. Like that's what I do. And I didn't even realize until I started learning more about habits that's what I was doing. So it can kind of be like, hey, well, I've packed my gym bag. All I have to do is I need to change my socks. Just start the process. This is what I wear when I go to the gym, right? And I think that's why I think a lot of people think the habit of buying gym clothes is what gets them into the gym, but it's actually kind of the habit of putting them on. Right? What happens is they like the clothes, their new clothes, so they go towards putting them on, then boom, cycle started, I'm going to the gym.
You know what? You might have one or two times where you fail, but I promise you that routine, those triggers being there to kind of set up that cycle, you're going to have a lot more wins than you are losses. And for me, like that's music, for you packing your bag, and other people it's going to be other routines, something just to get the wheels in motion, and what's in motion likes to stay in motion, right? And when you get derailed, man, just got to get back on get back on it and reset and try and see how you can streamline that whole process and get back into it. And as we said, this is a tough time, man. It's cold, it's dark, it's super comfortable, but if you can build a routine now, if you can make things work now, you can do it whenever. Yeah. And the whole year is yours to have and to seize.
I like also there's some really good studies done on talking about affirmations quickly again, because some of the words Mitch just said kind of triggered me in my head and made me think like expressing to yourself that it's cold and dark. These are such negative words, right? Like you could say things like it's cool. Like it's like it doesn't have to be it's dark. It can be that it's, I don't know, what's the alternative word, but the idea is that actually when you're talking to yourself, it's very much proven that if someone is, for example, shown a bunch of slow words like slow, grey, old, and then they're watched to walk a kilometre, they walk that kilometre a lot slower than either a control group or a group that were fed words like young, springy, light, athletic, right? So whereas negative talk, it can be beneficial to put a rocket up your arse, you still got to be really careful of what kind of words you feed yourself. And who is it? The coolest guy ever, really, Bruce Lee. Yeah, Bruce Lee says words are powerful. That's why they're called spellings, right? Because they cast a spell. And I don't think anything holds much more truth than that, and how our brain reacts to to words. It can be really powerful. And telling yourself things like that before you get to the gym. Like when you're like, oh, it's cold and it's, I'm so warm. You could be like, oh, it's nice and cool. It's going to be like nice and refreshing to train rather than it's so cold.
I was just chatting to a bloke this morning, and he was talking to me about his time in Canada when it was minus 30.
Oh, there you go.
And he's like, we still got up, we still went to the gym, my partner and I, and we still kept a routine. It's like a bit of perspective.
But we lost fingers.
Well, we have to get amputated because of the gangrene, but we still trained.
The frostbite.
But like perspective too, like this is still pretty comfortable and pretty tame. Like you got this, guys. Let's do it. Keep the routine going.
Oh, 100%.
Like I said, if you do it now, you can do it all year. And man, that's a lot of sessions compounded. That's a lot of positive response that you've put on your body. And mate, that's going to be a better version of you versus the person that succumbed to the extra hours in bed scrolling on their phone.
Yeah, and yeah, exactly. I always like to think of it's kind of like, well, if you didn't do this right now, who would you be in a year's time? Versus if you did a little bit right now, like who would you be in a year's time? It really changes like that time. And the time's going to go no matter what. Like time does not stop for any man, right? So like if you do not train, time is just going to fly by. Before you know it, you're going to look back and you're going to go, oh, I wish I'd started training when I was 20. Right? And you're going to be 50 years old, 30 years not in your belt of training, and you're going to be like, damn.
Especially while
you never get the time back.
And adaptation's easier while you're younger. Like, God, watch a teenager train. They change over weeks. In your 20s, maybe a couple over months, and then it slows down as you get a bit older. But you've got to seize it while you can. And you can do so much beautiful foundational work in your younger years when your body's a bit more adaptable. Not saying it doesn't happen when you get older. It just slows down. You have to have better routines.
And you are the youngest today you will ever be.
Yeah, has to be done now because it's just going to be fucking harder tomorrow. And the year after that and the year after that. Mm-hmm. Oh, dude, just get your butts in. Yeah. Keep making a routine and kick some ass, guys.
Yeah, you can kind of tell, like, this kind of talk today between ourselves and you is kind of like it has been motivated by something as well. It has been motivated by there has been a change of weather. We've just had the Easter holidays, and we have seen like some low session attendance in our gym. So it's kind of like you can kind of like we're starting to see that pattern emerge, and this is not uncommon, right? This happens all the time, and normally what happens is we'll start picking up some momentum back in the next couple of weeks. But I'm just like, why are we losing it now? Like, why can't people like pick themselves up just a little bit harder? And I always like to think of like, what can we do to motivate people a little bit more? And the truth is like, the more we learn is you can't motivate someone, right? You can just give them the tools to help them like kind of do it themselves.
You know what? The intention's there. You see the intent for people to book in, you see that it's a high number, and then 20 minutes out, changes.
Yeah, so you know
the comfort comes.
You know exactly what's happening, right? You know that what people are doing is they're doing exactly what we just said. They're sitting on the sofa, and when they're sitting on the sofa, they're getting all of a sudden all comfortable, and they just can't resist the comfort, the creature comforts. They can't fight it.
Like, don't get me wrong. I know some people, life happens and shit happens, and you've got to do what you got to do, and you've got to pop out and try and find another time to get in. But I reckon most of that, high 80% of that is comfort's taking them over versus trying to stay and adhering to who they want to be, what their goals are, and putting in the hard work through an uncomfortable time.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
And hopefully, like, you've learned a few strategies, with a little chat here, and, like, being able to self-reflect and go, all right, cool. I can build some structure, some self-talk, some affirmations, reassess my goal, kind of work hard towards what I want to do. And, man, I guarantee you're going to be a better version of yourself for it.
Yeah, and, like, big, like, powerful, rich people use this stuff, right? Powerful, rich people spend a load of money on their health and fitness and also their mental well-being, right? That's why, what's his name? Robbins, a really big, like, really loud.
Deep voice dude.
Yeah.
Tony Robbins.
That's why Tony Robbins is, like, he gets paid to do stuff with Bill Gates and all these things. And he teaches them these tools. These tools aren't, like, they're not, like, this kind of, and there's not a secret weapon that nobody knows about. Where like people know what works now. Like we understand enough about brains and well, obviously there's so much more to learn, but we understand so much that we know what works. And these things, they just generally really, really work. And lots of this stuff is like it's new research, but it's come out of like the Buddhism. All the kind of like self-gratitude, like meditation, self-talk and stuff like that. These are very, very powerful things that I guarantee you're rich, powerful people. And how they've got there, they've used this stuff. They've had moments of like they've like looked inside themselves, they've seen what they really want, they've understood their goals, and then they've been very driven towards them. And when they're not driven towards them, they remind themselves with positive self-talk about what they need to do to get that. And when they do get lazy, they kick themselves in the butt.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is like the book 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Yeah. These are just literally like the kind of things that they do, right? So it's so important. Like it is so important, and just to get better at your job, like to get better at like the gym, like to motivate. Like you can use this stuff before getting to the gym, but you can use it in the gym. Like you can be like 3 sets in. I'm supposed to be getting 4 sets, and like, wait, you can do this. Like it's just tough. It's hard. It's uncomfortable, but I can push through, and I will survive, and I will be a better human being on the other side for it.
100%. Sometimes we have to do that externally, but you do that internally, oh my God, that's a deadly person. It's going to make beautiful changes.
Yeah, I'm going to walk over someone and about to say it to them and just see them be like,
I whisper in you are beautiful, you are strong, you are brave, I trust in you.
That's it. Good positive words.
But like those affirmations are huge, man. Like having that like up on the wall as well. I know my wife with her second pregnancy it's all about that. And honestly, I saw that change her as a woman and her experience with her delivery night and day from the first one. Just the ability to put trust in herself and trust in her body. Amazing how that compounds, man. And over that 9 months of her pregnancy, that was a different woman that had a different experience just because she put in the hard work with her affirmations and absorbed them daily.
And what you're doing with affirmations as well is you're changing your perception to something. So like you can think that something is like over time, like you can think that something is like, again, these words of like, oh, that's hard, that's tough. But no, over time, you're kind of changing your perception. And actually the perception of your brain affects everything in your body. Like you'd have no idea. Like I've said it before, but like you can have a healthy meal in front of you, but you can perceive it to be really unhealthy and vice versa. And it will change how that food reacts with your body.
Oh, that's nuts, eh? I've seen the studies on that. It's absolutely crazy.
Yeah, and it's everything. It's like really your perception can help you lose weight. Like your perception of seeing something that is exercise as exercise, or seeing something that is exercise but you don't perceive it to be exercise, those people that perceive things to be exercise lose more weight. So like the brain is like an untapped, super powerful tool. Like that if you can use these things like these words of affirmation, like you can trick the brain, like you can make the brain a more positive thing. And at the end of the day, it can help you with loads of different things. It can help with like things like obviously depression and stuff like that, just by being really conscious of how you feel, talking to yourself positively, making yourself do these hardships. But on the side of hardships is you only really achieve things when they're not too hard too quickly, right? That's why like it's good to give yourself lots of little hardships to build up to bigger hardships. Like time frame of hardships, how hard they are, is going to play a big difference. You don't just go like, okay, well, I'm going to just put myself in a cave and in the freezing cold and survive it. No, the body needs to adjust and adapt. So you have to you teach yourself slowly to be tougher.
Yeah, gradient exposure, right? Yeah. To slowly be built up to it. And like in the gym, like again, to bring this in, you go like, oh, I have to be here because I know I need to do this, or my doctor told me, or that type of framing, not the greatest. Like it's an opportunity. This is an hour to develop myself and to become a better person, to become stronger, fitter, healthier. That reframing can be huge. This is a gift. I get a chance to be here by myself, doing my thoughts, to be in a like-minded community, working together to achieve a certain goal. That's a better reframing than, I have to do this. Oh, this is going to be sore tomorrow. This is hard work. Yeah, it's hard work, man.
Once you're in, it's like, I didn't want to come. Oh, but I convinced myself to come. Therefore, I am a stronger person than I believe to be. Like, I am putting myself through a hardship so I can be a better person on the other side of it. It's just such a better way of looking at things than, oh, I really don't want to be here. Or like I'm around like-minded people who are all trying to get fitter. I'm better. Like, I always think this is like interesting that when I've been in gyms, we're in a bubble, right? And I believe most people go to gyms because everywhere I go is a gym, and I see a lot of people in the gym. And then when I've like gone out and handed out flyers to people, you would not believe how many people I'd never go to the gym. Well, like, so really, and then you kind of sometimes you see the state of these people as well, and you're like, well, you should be going to the gym more than anyone. But like harsh, I know. But the idea is that like once you're stepping foot in a gym, like you are doing something to become a better person, to look after yourself, even to look after your genes that you're passing on to your kids and stuff like that. There's a really big, profound effect happening. Like I think it's really important that people, it doesn't have to be the gym as well. It just has to be exercise or just looking after your body. Physical, mental state. Right.
Oh, on that note, I think we should leave it there.
Cool.
go to the gym, guys.
Yeah.
We'll see
Do
you
some
soon.
exercise. Look after yourselves physically.
All right, and if you do need some support or actually need some help or need to have a chat, we're always here for you guys. And wish you all the best. And if you need to reach out, we're here for you guys and look forward to it.
Thank you.
All right, bye, guys.